Hello, team players. So, I got another teamwork build for you guys, and today we're building a Guardian. Let's dive in. This build is all about pushing and shoving enemies around. So, our ancestry is going to be the Jotunborn. We are going to be using a two-handed weapon in this build. However, a lot of our feats are going to require fist attacks. But these feats do not require a free hand, which means doing good damage with our fists is going to be important. That's why our heritage is going to be the warrior Jotunborn. So now our fists do more damage, and we don't have to worry about not doing lethal damage with our fists. Okay, for our attributes, strength is going to be our most important, as well as constitution. Those need to be our highest, followed by charisma. You really don't need anything else, although you might want to increase your intelligence, simply for more skills. As for skills, there's really three you're going to need. Athletics for shoving, intimidation to help with hitting, and medicine. Medicine, because we're going to be like right next to allies pretty much all the time. So, battle medicine and continual recovery are going to be pretty important. Alright, for our ancestry feat, at level 1, we're going to take plane stepping dash. Mobility is super important in this build, and we're going to be slower because we're wearing heavy armor. So if we're quite a bit farther away than we normally would be, we can use this feat to get a little more speed, which is definitely going to help. In addition to the fleet feat we'll take later. For our level 1 class feat, we're going with shoulder check. We make a fist unarmed attack, and if we hit or critically hit, the foe is off guard to us for a while. This does only make them off guard to us. But as a guardian, we're not going to have a huge amount of attack bonus. So making them off guard is kind of a big deal. It gives them more of a reason to attack us instead of our allies. At level 2, we'll be taking the kineticist dedication. This gives us a ranged attack that goes off our con instead of our dex, which is important. But it's not the main reason we're taking this. We want to choose the wood element here, mainly for the next class feat we're going to be taking. Our kinetic blast won't be very powerful yet, but we'll work on that. At level 3, we get Die Hard for free, so we don't have to worry about that. But for our general feat, we will be taking Canny Acumen. We've got low dex, and our reflex saves are going to be low. So we want to fix that. And we won't become experts in reflex saves until level 9. So we might as well pick that up now. It's pretty basic here, though. At level 4, we took wood element for kineticist dedication so we could pick up Timber Sentinel. This creates a tree that protects allies even if we can't be right next to them. Most of the time we are going to want to be like pretty much right next to allies. But we won't always be able to. So this tree will protect allies when we can't be right next to them. Pretty massive deal. For level 5 ancestry feat, we're going to take Jotun's battle stance. This gives us reach with our two-handed weapons. So in certain situations, we can hit from further away, but our enemies have to use an action to walk up to us. But really, this is just a prerequisite for a pretty important feat we're going to take later on. We're going to be taking a lot of feats that will allow us to push enemies away from us. Which means we're going to be in that situation where we can hit the enemy, but our enemy has to move to get back to us quite frequently. This is also why we want to use a two-handed weapon with the shove trait, as we can get an item bonus 2 shove attempts when we use that. At level 6, we're going with Raise Hat. This gives all of our two-handed weapons the parry trait, which essentially means if we need a little more AC, we can use our two-handed weapon like a shield. So even though we won't be using a shield in this build, we'll have something that will give us a little more AC. Which as a guardian is important, because if we get crit, that's very, very bad. Because we're going to get attacked a lot. So having a little more AC in the right situation is going to be big. At level 7, of course, we're going to take toughness. More HP. I mean, we're already going to have massive HP, simply because we get 12 plus our con, and 10 from Jotunborn. But having even more HP is a pretty big deal. At level 8, we'll be taking Juggernaut Charge. So we get to stride, and then we get to make a strike if we're in melee reach of an enemy. But remember, we have reach with Jotun's battle stance, which means it's going to be even easier for us to get within melee reach of an enemy. Then we strike again, but this time we drag our opponent with us. Not only is this a great way of getting enemies away from the ranged attackers in our party, like our bard and our alchemist, but remember that our bard has a horde. So we can pull the enemies into the horde. And while we don't take any damage from the horde, our enemies do. This means the horde does not have to move. They can attack twice if we wanted to. This also means we can drag them close to another hazard, and next turn we can shove them into it, assuming they don't move away. But either way, we're fine. Because if they're wasting an action moving away from the hazard, that means they're not attacking anybody. For our level 9 Ancestry feat, we're going to take Build the First Walls. This allows us to trap certain enemies with us so they can only attack us and not our allies. This is another way we can effectively use Juggernaut Charge. Like I said, get enemies away from the ranged attackers and then trap them with us with this feat. Granted, we can't make a dome, which means that they can still get out if they can fly. But if they can't fly, this is a great feat to use for any Guardian. At level 10, we'll take Improved Kinetic Blast to make our ranged attack do more damage. After all, we need a good ranged attack. And this way, we don't have to use a bow. Because our bow would be pretty bad for this build since our dex is going to be super low. But our con is going to be rather high. So we have a ranged attack that does pretty good damage here. Now, I would be taking Die Hard at level 11, but we already have that for free. So, you're going to be better off taking Incredible Initiative. That way we can go first, before enemies. After all, our Wisdom is going to be okay, but not great. So, getting a +2 on Initiative is going to be pretty important. At level 12, we're going to be taking Scattering Horde. So we can stride and push up to 3 enemies away from us. Like I said, we can either push enemies away from the Blowgun Master, or we can push them into our Necrosinger's horde. So our horde doesn't have to move, and we can just attack. Plus, there are some enemies that can work together if they're very close to each other. And this lets us scatter them apart, so they can't work together anymore. This is a very good feat, and should definitely be at least be considered. For our level 13 Ancestry feat, we're going to be taking Plane Hop. This allows us to teleport to any place we could reach with our speed, which means we don't have to worry about reactions. Not that reactions would hurt us very much, but taking less damage is always good, even if we're playing something like a Guardian. Plus, more mobility. After all, we can teleport over things like difficult terrain. Pretty important feat here. At level 14, we'll be taking Right Where You Want Them, so we can push enemies further away from us, 10 or 15 feet rather than just 5. So, if our Necrosinger's horde is further away, we can still push them into it. And we can get them further away from our Blowgun Master. Or push them into range of the Blowgun Master, if they're too far away. At level 15, of course, we're going to take Fleet for a little more speed. After all, we're Guardian, we're slow, we need that speed, because it's kind of important. Because where we are on the battlefield is very important. At level 16, we'll be taking Clobber. So we make a strike, and if we hit, we push them back, and we also make them fall prone. So, if they want to attack us, or anybody, they have to stand up, and then move. So, they only get one attack. And because they're prone, anybody that goes before them gets to make a strike with them being off guard. Granted, this does count as 2 attacks when calculating our multiple attack penalty. But a great turn for this build is Clobber and then Raise Haft, since we're going to be doing pretty massive damage with our 2-handed weapon. Now they can use an action to take cover on their turn if they're prone, which will make it more difficult for a Blowgun Master to hit. But that's on their turn for one thing, and the other thing is that just makes it easier for us to hit, since they're still prone. Plus, if they're smart, they're not going to do that. because they're still in melee reach of us. And we can do significantly more damage than the Blowgun Master without his poisons. This will be especially true with the next feat we're going to take. And that, of course, is Jotun's Heart. We are now huge and have a 10-foot reach at all times. Plus, if we go into Jotun's battle stance, we have a 15-foot reach. So even if we push an enemy 15 feet away, we can still hit them. Pretty massive deal here. As for free archetype, there are a few that you might want to take. The first is the medic archetype. After all, we're going to want to be near our allies pretty much constantly, which means more battle medicines is going to help a lot. The Blessed One archetype might also be effective here as well, since again, you're going to want to be near allies. The Martial archetype is also a great one here, and of course, if you've got free archetype, you are going to want to take at least some of your Kineticist archetype feats on that side of free archetype, and you can take more Guardian feats on the class side. And that's the Ancient Guardian done. If you guys enjoyed this video, leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more Pathfinder 2e teamwork content. I also have a second channel where I cover Starfinder content. So if you're interested in that, go check that out. You can also leave me a comment either here or on my Discord server, or just tear my build apart at either place. I'm not perfect. If you want a path builder for this build, or any of my other builds, you can check out my Patreon page. You can also get my videos early on there. At least some of them anyway. Links to all three of those are in the description below. And of course, if you want to watch another video on this channel, you can check it out right here. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, teamwork is vital. It helps us solve problems.